I call this city board meeting, the board of directors for Siloam Springs, Arkansas, for December 3, 2019 to order. Roll call.
Sappington. Smiley.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Chrysler.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Would you please stand as Director Sappington leads us in our opening prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us together and to be proud citizens of such a wonderful town. And as we were traveling here, I noticed all the lights around to celebrate the birth of your son. And I just pray for those families that are in need, that we can reach out to them and support them during this time. And may the spirit of giving and kindness continue throughout the next year. And I pray for us to be good stewards of what is put before us tonight, and that we listen humbly to the concerns of the citizens. And I just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Members of the public as well as board members, if you would please make sure that your electronic devices are on silent so that we don't disturb anybody while they're speaking or addressing the board. At this time, before we get into our regularly scheduled items, this is a period of time in which the public may address this city board on any city business that is not listed on tonight's. Oh, I got to do that first, don't I? You always keep me in order, don't you? Yeah, thank you. Forget I said anything, all right, after the silence your electronic devices. Board, you have each received a copy of the minutes for the meeting of November 19, 2019. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anyone here that feels there need to be any changes made to the minutes as you have received them? Being none, we'll vote on the approval of the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Now then, we will move to public input, and this is the time when any citizen or someone from the public may address this city board on any city business that is not listed on tonight's agenda. If you would like to do that, please come forward, state your name and address. Come to the podium. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Larry Taylor. I'm a business owner, registered with the city. My address is 22377 Don Hill Road. I'd like to address something I read about that was discussed on November 19th regarding the problem with homes that don't have utilities and the possibility of seizure of property. To me, that's a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment, whether you have utilities hooked up or not. And I wanted to express that and let you guys know that I'm not really okay with taking people's property or kicking them out of their property because they choose to not have your utilities. I understand that there are issues, but during the prayer we spoke about being faithful stewards and taking care of our people. And I think it's really important that we as a community find other ways to come together to take care of people in our community that are in needs, that have needs, aside from removing them from their property. That's all I wanted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, being none, we will move forward with our regularly scheduled items. The first one is appointments. Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustment. Ben Rhodes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. Before you, staff would like to present candidates for 3 seats of the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment that will be open starting on January 1st. In addition to these future vacancies, seat 5, previously held by Mr. Carl Munger, is presently vacant due to Mr. Munger resigning from the commission in September. Staff put out notice of the vacancies in the newspaper and online, and we received 10 applications. The Planning Commission Chair is recommending Mr. Montgomery for seat number 1, Mr. Sally for seat number 2, Mr. McKinney for seat number 3, and Mr. J.W. Smith to fill the vacancy on seat number 5. Staff concurs with the recommendation, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll turn it over to the board for comments or questions. Either that or I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we appoint Thomas Montgomery, Chris Sally, and Isaac McKinney to 4-year terms, and J.W. Smith to the remaining unexpired term of seat 5 on the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Adjustments.
All right, and that would be Montgomery for 1, Sally 2, McKinney 3. Okay. Do I have a second? Brad Burns. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. Roll call.
Smiley.
Yes.
Excuse me. Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Chrysler.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Motion is approved, and I want to thank these folks, these gentlemen in this particular case, for their willingness to be on our board. Thank you very much. Next is Parks Advisory Board. John Bowles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. John Bowles, Parks and Recreation Manager. For your consideration this evening is the appointment of new Parks Advisory Board members. The Advisory Board has 3 seats where appointment terms were met and 2 seats available due to early resignation from the Advisory Board. Following city policy, advertisement was done and applications were received. The Parks Advisory Board Chair reviewed the applications and a recommendation was given. The Advisory Board Chair is recommending Daniel Bennett for seat 5, Kristen Bauer for seat 4, Doug Calvert for seat 6, Yoon Kim for seat 7, and Stanley Church for seat 9. Staff also concurs with these recommendations, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and/or questions.
Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
Hey, John, do you have a number of applicants that applied? Just so.
Yes, sir. We had 5 applicants.
No other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendations of the Parks Board, Advisory Board.
Mayor,
Yes, Carol.
I move that we appoint Daniel Bennett for reappointment to seat 5, Kristen Boyer to seat 4, Doug Calvert to seat 6, and Kim Yoon to seat 7, and Stanley Church to seat 9. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, except it's Yun Kim instead of Ken Yun. It's
Okay.
Yun.
Excuse
Other than that, you were right on.
I apologize.
Problem. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. Is there further discussion on the motion to approve? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. Roll call.
Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Chrysler.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Motion is approved. And again, thank you to these folks for their willingness to serve on the Parks Advisory Board. All right, now we're moving into contract and approvals period portion on our agenda. First item is dedication of utility easements at the 2700 block of Waukesha Road. Ben Rhodes?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Ben Rhodes. Before you is a lot split survey that was filed for review on November 15th. The lot split dedicates a new 16-foot wide utility easement between the 2 proposed lots, and I will point that out right here as circled. This is meeting the standard practice for easement dedication. Staff is recommending approval, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any comments from the audience? Anyone associated with this piece of property and project that would like to address the board? Being none, then I'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions of staff. All right, being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve dedication and utility easement as stated.
Mayor?
As stated.
I recommend we approve the dedication of utility easement at 2700 block of Waukesha Road.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. Roll call.
Hunt. Yes. Bristler.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is reservoir repairs, Public Works Department, Water Division with Diamond C Construction Company in the amount of $125,000. Josh.
Yes, sir. Let me find my stuff here. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Josh Napier, Water Plant Superintendent. For your consideration this evening is a contract for the reservoir repairs with Diamond C Construction. There are 3 reservoirs located north of the water treatment plant, and were built in 1990. Each reservoir holds up to 220 million gallons of water and serves as a redundant water supply for our city. As you can see in the slides, the elements have taken a toll on the grouted expansion joints. In many places, the joints have worn, allowing water to penetrate the berm. To control the seepage in the interim, staff keeps the water level below the concrete. This project will remove and replace the old grout with new grout. From a budgetary standpoint, there is $125,000 in capital outlay budget for this project. The bid documents requested a price per joint for the 20-foot and the 25-foot links. This would allow the city to stop once the cost reaches the budgeted amount. This project will likely include a second phase in 2021 to fix any remaining joints that need to be repaired. The city initially had 11 interested contractors, but only one submitted a sealed bid on November 6th. The Diamond C Construction submitted that bid at $4,788.60 for 20-foot and $5,288.60 for 25-foot links. With that said, thank you all, and available for questions.
Thank you, Josh. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments or questions of staff. A lot of sections, a lot of leak.
Mayor,
Yes, Carol.
I move that we approve the contract with Diamond C Construction Company for repairs to the water reservoirs at the water treatment plant in an amount not to exceed $125,000.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion to approve? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. Roll call?
Bristler.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Excuse me. Sappington.
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is annual chemical bids for Public Works Department with the water and wastewater divisions involving multiple vendors and costs. Tom Myers.
Mr. Mayor and board members, Tom Myers, wastewater superintendent. Annually, we do a sealed bid request. We have, as Mr. Mayor indicated, we have a line item budget in the water and wastewater departments for them chemical costs. As you see on the screens, we have the bids and how they came in this year. Staff is available for comments and questions.
Thank you, Tom. Any comments from the audience? Remind the board that this is a budgeted item, so approval of this or non-approval of this could throw a wrinkle in there later on down the road, but I don't anticipate that problem.
Just to be clear, this is, if you approve the bids, it's subject to approval of the 2020 budget.
Budget, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, Carol?
I'm just curious how this compared to the 2019 prices.
Good question, Carol. You can see the 2019 bid there in the green compared to the 2020. They go down to a thousandth of a cent. That's how competitive it is.
Oh, isn't it? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Brad?
I want to say, hi, Tom. You're a very important player in this team, and people don't realize it, and we only see you once a year. You're the best-kept secret in Siloam staff.
Thank you.
That means that you will be coming to more board meetings.
Yeah.
Apologize, man.
Well, we have some of the seminars and meetings here that are involving public work departments around the area and district and what have you, and they always like coming over here, and let me tell you, they all know who Tom Myers is. Yes, sir. All right, any comments, any other comments from the audience? Since we already got one from the board, but if not, then I'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions of staff. Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Yes,
Make
Brad?
a motion to approve one-year contract with listed chemical suppliers, subject to the approval of the 2020 budget.
Second.
Is that Marla? Mindy, okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. Roll call?
Goldman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt. Yes. Chrysler.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is South Holly Street Side Path with 81 Construction Group in the amount of $74,337. Justin?
Thank you, Justin Bland, City Engineer. So what we have here is the side path for South Holly Street, and this project is going to connect on the north end to the Dogwood Springs Trail at the corner of the old practice football field on the middle school site. Run down the east side of Holly Street and connect to the Highway 412 intersection there. When we first put this on the budget, it ranked really highly because there are 8 stoplights across 412 that have pedestrian access. So making all these connections is really important to getting connectivity to the south side of town. And then another plus to it is just having the middle school in the vicinity. There's definitely a high number of children or students walking in that area. So we put it out to bid. We had two bids come in. 81 Construction had the low bid for $74,337, which was below the engineer estimate and the budget. And we've worked really good with them in the past, so we have no reservations recommending them. So with that being said, staff recommends awarding the low bid 81 Construction for $74,337, and staff is available for any questions.
Thank you, Justin. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments or questions of staff.
Mayor.
Yes, Marla.
I have a question, and since we're going to talk about the second side path right after this, I wanted to know the lengths of each of those. How long is the Holly Street side path and the 412 side path?
I don't have that available.
I was wondering because of the difference in the amount of the money, why it's so much more expensive in one area than the other, and I didn't know if the crosswalk was involved, if that was part of it.
That is a big part. We're having, essentially at that intersection with Tulsa Street, having the four, it's one intersection, but we're having crossing 4 lanes of traffic separately. That did add to the total cost there. I actually did put these distances together for Steve here recently.
I'm sorry to catch you off.
I do believe this one is longer than the other one, though.
Okay. Well, I wondered with the 20,000 difference, in a picture it looks relatively, about the same amount. And I noticed that the one on 412 is going to be 2 foot wider than this one too, so that would also increase the cost there. So I was just questioning.
Sure, that's a good point. The reason that this one is a little, we actually do prefer the 10-foot wide. In this scenario, we were a little more, we had less space to work with. We didn't want to interfere with Arvis's irrigation system any more than we had to, and there were some more restrictions that we had to do, so we just narrowed it up. 8's kind of the narrowest we would want to go with a side path, so.
And also, it said that the bank partnered with us. What was their partnering?
Well, they just kind of, they voluntarily went out and they've adjusted the irrigation. They were going to move some landscaping around, just things that they offered to do when we first met with them. That they were just really happy to have this done. Apparently they have a lot of people walking through the grass right now, so they're really happy to have a path across there. So
It is very much needed. I was just wondering why there was such a discrepancy between the amounts, if they looked like they're about the same length that we were going to be putting in. Thank you.
Yes, Brad.
So, Ben may remember this, and he won't acknowledge it maybe, but we went to Madison, and did you go to one of the People for Bikes events back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and I know we're Siloam, and I don't want to scare anybody with corridor talk, but I'm going to talk about my recent visit to the corridor and connectivity, People for Bikes, that sort of thing. One of the things I'm starting to see over there is where we cross streets, not 412 an example, but side streets. On those cross streets, they're using green, and I've talked about this before, but it is not a paint material. It's almost, it has a grip to it. So no matter what, when people cross the street, it pops out, number one, and it's not only for bikes, it's just for connectivity. But that material I found interesting, and I mention that because in the past when we mentioned crosswalks and lighting, eventually those things showed up in Siloam. So I just throw that out. You might be familiar with some of that material. I'm not. I just walked on it and found it interesting. As far as a safety standpoint, it was a little rainy that day, and it's got a little grit to it. I don't know what the wear and tear. Once again, it was a side street, not a 412 as an example. So when I see this connectivity, I'm just going to come back to green a lot. Just give you a heads up.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Anybody? Anyone else? If not, yes, Carol.
I move that we approve the contract for the construction of the South Holly Street side path with 81 Construction in the amount of $74,337.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion to approve? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. Roll call?
Carroll.
Yes.
Sheffington.
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Hunt. Yes. Rissler.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is Highway 412 Side Path, 81 Construction Group, in the amount of $57,993. Justin?
Thank you, Justin Bland, City Engineer. So kind of same process here. We have a 10-foot side path. This one connects from Southampton over to Progress Avenue. In the sidewalk connectivity plan that we did a couple of years ago, this one ranked number 7. So this is a there's a high need here to kind of connect this area. I think what we've seen a lot of people end up walking down Ravenwood. So, and then they just realize there's not a place to cross Progress there, so they end up having to come up and then go down and around. So this having this connection along 412 would be much more seamless. And this is also kind of an extension of the project that we're building currently just down the road. So once both of these are done, we'll have continuous path from Lincoln all the way to Progress. Just to follow up on that previous comment, Steve just gave me the numbers here, and let's see here. This project is for 525 foot a side path. The previous one is for 730 feet, so it was about 200 feet longer on Holly, just for reference.
But 2 foot narrower.
Yes, right. Same. We did this at the same timeline. We actually had the same 2 bidders submit bids for this, and 81 Construction had the low bid for $57,993. Again, below the engineer estimate and the budget number. And so that with that, staff recommends approval for 81 Construction for the $57,993, and we're available for any questions.
Thank you, Justin. Any comments or questions from the audience? Board, turn it over to you for comments or questions of staff.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. You said that this last side path by Hampton or on Hampton Road was the sixth or seventh on the list of priorities. How are we doing on the others before it?
There is we definitely made definitely 4 or 5 of those projects have either been completed or in the works. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure which one of those. I think with the first 3 years, we were planning on trying to tackle that that top 10. I think.
10, okay.
So we're making some pretty good progress.
And what year are we in?
This would be the end of the 3rd year, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Brad.
Justin, so, and it's not on that map, but if you drop to the south, so that development going on there will have a sidewalk, and I think what we talked about in the past is that little connector piece there. Is that in the hopper across the street where Kenny's is? It was back when, you remember the Burger King days and the, ringing a bell?
Yeah,
you got a lot on your plate. Don't lose your mind.
So are we talking about where the storage building site is right now? That I guess I'm lost on which.
Highway 16. If you just cross 412.
Okay.
And you stay on the west side, and then we have that development that is not on your map that's going on.
Yes.
And we had that conversation. So I was just curious about that connecting piece. Is it just? I mean, it's not a high priority, but it's out there.
Yes, it's on the. So yes, you're right. The Summerhill apartment expansion. They're building a side path along the frontage of it as part of it, and that'll leave the gap from there across Kenny's Auto to 412. That's an again important piece. Whether we get to it or if something happens there that development actually occurs there, one of the two would happen. But we definitely think that's a very important piece as well. Yes, right.
Mayor, I just
Martin.
had one quick question. As we are building newer developments along 412, are we asking them to go ahead and put in the sidewalks with it?
Yes, we are, and that was something that we didn't do 5, 7, 10 years ago. So we're behind the curve a little bit. But that we are absolutely now.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll add that is something that we've started doing that when we got a new administrator a few years back, and it was just a matter of just opinion by administrator of what was needed. His previous administration had felt that why put it in when the state's going to be tearing it out? Well, that'd be the state's problem. So, and I think our safety of our citizens and these areas right here. There's people on them all the time, and especially bad weather. It doesn't seem to matter. There's someone. It seems like you always seeing somebody at these intersections, these 2 different intersections and stretches we've seen, and we need to make sure that we have some place for folks to walk. All right. No other questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the contract for the construction of the Highway 412 side path with 81 Construction in the amount of $57,993.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. As stated, roll call.
Eppington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt. Yes. Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
The motion is approved. Next is Tulsa Street Drainage Culvert with Skurlock Industries for $120,165.30. Justin?
Thank you, Justin Bland, City Engineer. So just kind of start off with this one. It's going to give a little bit of history of this area. We kind of trace here the drainage path that kind of goes through, and this is the area that drains underneath in front of the old Franklin Electric building under 412. And back in 2009, when they widened the highway, the highway department went in and more or less doubled the culvert size under the highway at that location. So there used to be a lot of water that would kind of back up in that parking area, and now it goes through. And since that time, the veterinary clinic on Tulsa Street has experienced a lot of flooding and has had a lot of issues with that. This is kind of the second phase of this mediation of the situation. The first was probably about 3 years ago. The city went in and under Kenwood Street, they installed a culvert system across the, I think at the time it was the First Assembly of God Church, but now it's the Siloam Springs Bible Church. But we basically did the same thing in that area. So now we're just kind of taking that a little bit further downstream. There's going to be a middle space that right now, I don't think the landowner knows what they want to do with it. Could be an additional phase in the future for that, but at this point, it's not an issue. It's just an open field. So anyways, that's kind of the background behind this. But we put out bids for this as well and got 2 bids, and the low bid was from Skurlock Industries for $120,165.30, which is within our budget. This is, of course, for materials only. City crews will install this, and so staff recommends awarding it to Skurlock Industries, and is available for any questions.
Thank you, Justin. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and other questions of staff.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Marla.
Justin, this is on private property. How did we get involved in doing something to correct a drainage on private property?
That's a good question. That we have. This is kind of the second run of drainage improvements we've made that have been a direct result of the 412 widening. If you go further west than this, there's a culvert by the Highway Commission Welcome Center there. I'm sorry, the Highway Welcome Center. We had a similar project downstream of that through those subdivisions through private property. I think the intent there was that these property owners, they're not responsible for this change, so the city's kind of come in and intervene and help out with the situation. This one has been on the books for several years and it keeps on getting pushed back, but that's kind of the background on that.
I know Dr. Thomas will be happy to hear this.
Mayor,
Yes, Carol.
I move that we approve.
Wait a minute, have I turned it over? I did that. Have I turned it over to y'all for comments yet? Okay. I don't mark that down. I guess I need to, so. Carol, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to make a motion to approve contract for the Tulsa Street drainage culvert with Skurlock Industries in the amount of $120,165.30.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You. All right. Any further discussion on the motion? That's the reason y'all were discussing this, wasn't it? Because I'd already turned it over to the board, hadn't I? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. There being no further discussion, we'll vote on the motion to approve. Roll call?
Wiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Bristler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Then we'll move down into our ordinances. The first ordinance this evening is 1926. Third reading, amending Chapter 38 of the fireworks. Chief Kreiner?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. Jeremy Kreiner, Fire Chief. The third reading of this ordinance before you tonight would amend Chapter 38 of the City Code, which in short would allow the sale of fireworks in and around the 4th of July and New Year's Eve. In addition, would allow the the use and sale of fireworks along the 4th of July and the surrounding time frame, and also New Year's Eve. Since the second reading, there's been no other changes, and staff has still not received any comments from the public. With that, staff is available for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments from the audience, please? Being none, we'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions. Being none, I'll entertain a motion. Carol?
Well, I was just going to say thank you for providing this and for the changes that you brought back that we wanted. And I move we place ordinance number 19-26 on its third reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion to approve? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve. Roll call?
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Philip?
Ordinance number 19-26, an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article 4 of the Siloam Springs City Code with respect to regulation of the sale and use of fireworks within the city limits.
I'll now entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 19-26.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion to adopt? Being none, we'll vote on the motion to adopt. Roll call?
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion is adopted. Ordinance number 19-26 is approved. Next is ordinance 19-27, first reading, amending Chapter 102 zoning code for drive-through uses. Ben Rhodes?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me get the PowerPoint up. So yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Before you for your consideration this evening is an update to the zoning code with regards to the drive-through uses. The Planning Commission in a special called meeting reviewed the ordinance before you on November 18th, 2019. They unanimously recommended approval by a 6-0 vote. As you may recall, the concept of a special use permit was suggested as a possible remedy to address concerns on the impacts these uses may impose on surrounding residential properties. Staff took this concept and codified it by first establishing a definition for a drive-through use and a code section 102-88. The definition listed there sets out how to define a drive-through. And I can give you a moment to read that if you wanted to look at. So moving forward in section 102-88, this requires that a drive-through meeting the code definition from the previous slide be subject to special review when it is adjacent to or touching any residential R zone. And that's essentially what this section here, 102-88, says. So a little more into the special use permit. The special use review permit allows for the Planning Commission and the board to focus on the specific issues within a given area, so that there may be circumstances that can be addressed in the development permit that would not make sense to apply across the board, but more on a case-by-case basis. These circumstantial issues can be handled through conditions on the approval of that special use permit. On the slide, you see a listing of the specific criteria used to determine if a special use permit is valid, and I'll roll through these real quick. It can't interfere with owners' peace and enjoyment. It will not substantially damage any property values. It will be compatible with the existing neighborhood context. It will not tend to burden present or future land uses within the neighborhood. It is supported by infrastructure, is consistent with sound planning, and finally promotes favorable economic conditions. We reached out to those who previously commented on the last ordinance to let them know about the present ordinance, and they both attended the Planning Commission meeting. With that, staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions of staff. Ben, I do have a question, just Mindy, before real quick. Now, just making sure that the special use permit requires the applicant to go before planning and zoning as well as get approval from this board.
That is correct. It's one reading at the board, but it does go before the board.
One reading at the board,
Yeah.
but it does come for the board for that.
That is correct, yes.
It's fair.
Yes, Brad.
I would like to thank the folks that were concerned for attending the planning and zoning, and you know that's a board that plays a vital role to the city, and I think as a board member, I have a lot of respect for those that sit on that. But I appreciate people utilizing not only us but the other boards out there and giving feedback and showing concern, and for staff for addressing the issues of those concerns. Thank you.
Any?
And to piggyback on that, and even coming to the board meeting to express concerns too. They attended the planning commission meetings, they attended the board meetings, and I think this is a good example of the board trying to listen to citizen concerns, the city staff trying to address those city concerns, and so hopefully it shows how that can work well. So thank you to those who did come to the meeting and to those who are here tonight.
Other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Yes, Carol.
I move that we place ordinance number 19-27 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion to approve? To suspend, excuse me. Did you state that? I was reading and not
Suspending the rule, yes, I did.
I apologize. I was reading something and didn't hear you say that, so, okay. First reading, good, okay. And Brad? All right, there's motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Being none, we will vote on the motion to suspend. Roll call?
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Philip?
Ordinance number 19-27, an ordinance amending Chapter 102 zoning code of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code with respect to drive-through aisles.
Thank you, Philip. Next is ordinance 19-28, first reading, amending section 102-21 zoning code, rezoning R2 to R3, R4, C1A, and C2 in the 2500 block of South Waukesha Road. Ben Rhodes, and Ben will also address Resolution 38-19, preliminary plat development permit for Trail Point Addition, 2500 block of South Waukesha Road. He'll address both of these at the same time, but there will be two separate motions and votes on these two articles. Thank you. Ben?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Board. The next item for your consideration is a request for rezoning, and as the Mayor mentioned, a preliminary plat occurring on the same property. As the Mayor said, because these are both related, I'll be presenting both of them right now. So the project site is located at 2500 block of South Waukesha Road. This is located on the back side of South Point and west of the industries located on Waukesha Road. The rezoning application converts the existing R2 zone into two residential zones, that being the R3 and R4. It also converts lots along the frontage to commercial zones, that being the C2 and C1A. On the preliminary plat, 38 lots will be created, covering multiple housing types and commercial uses per this rezoning request. Here you see the site plan showing the proposed lots. You can see that this development will extend South Point Street to Waukesha Road, so South Point will be a new through street between Highway 59 and Waukesha. This connection will help divert a good portion of the proposed generated traffic back to Highway 59, so Waukesha does not take the full brunt of the projected traffic impact. The detention will be in the top northwest corner of the site. I'll point that out right there. Two-family housing is proposed along the two north-south streets, that being right here, and multifamily tucked in behind right there. So in here you see the specific zoning proposal. So C2 roadway commercial is located along the south side of the future South Point addition, or South Point Street extension. The lot at the corner here is C1A. That's a light commercial zone that is more appropriate when backing up against the proposed residential housing. We didn't want C2 right tucked up against the housing there. And then the lot to the north, the final C2 there, will have access directly from Waukesha Road. Staff has not received any firm plans as to the future uses of the commercial lots, but they would likely operate as neighborhood level commercial with supportive services for the future residents. Because a rezoning is being considered, I'm displaying the future land use map. As you can see here, the area is classified as mixed use, which allows for residential, commercial, and industrial zones. The proposed rezonings all fall within this category. And here's the view of the property. This is looking to the west. South Point being in the background here, and that would eventually connect like that per this development. Staff is not suggesting any conditions for the rezoning. However, there is one condition on the preliminary plat, that the applicant successfully rezones the property as shown prior to construction. Staff and the Planning Commission is recommending approval of both permits with rezoning condition, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions of staff, both of these. Yes, Marla?
Ben, on the different sections and how they're zoned, is this permanent, did you say, that it needs to stay where you said the roadway commercial is and the residential is, or can it be just anywhere on that piece of property?
Well, the zoning is strictly tied to the land per a legal description. I can go back to the zoning map if you want to.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure after this was rezoned that they couldn't decide to put the residential at a different corner. And
I see what you're saying. They would have to rezone again.
Okay.
Yeah, because the zone is it locks you in place pretty
All right,
much on what you're
good.
going to be doing. Yep.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we place ordinance number 19-28 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
Carol, do I have a second?
Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion to suspend? Or not suspend? Yes, we're still in trying to merge it with a resolution down here, so I didn't write your name is the problem. All right, if there's no further questions, then how about a vote? Roll call.
Holman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
yes,
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Chrysler.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Philip?
Ordinance number 19-28, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from R2 to R3, R4, C1A, and C2 the property located at the 2500 block of South Waukesha Road.
All right, now I'll entertain next is Resolution 3819. I've already read it. Are there any comments or questions for the board? Because we've already asked the public. So are there any comments from the board on Resolution 38-19? Yes.
I move that we approve resolution number 38-19, authorizing a preliminary plat development permit for the 2500 block of South Waukesha Road, subject to the recommended condition of approval, which is, do I need to read that? Okay.
No. It's stated in the memo. Did I hear a second?
I will continue to second.
Okay, I don't have to change my notes then that way because I put in the wrong notes. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? Being none, we'll vote on Resolution 38-19. Roll call.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Chrysler.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
I got lost. That's what my note thing looks like, and I got on the wrong line. I apologize. We got a lot of stuff on here tonight. All right. Next is Resolution 39-19, Final Plat Development Permit for Sweet Homes Addition, 2300 block of North Mount Olive Street. Ben Rhodes?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Before you for your consideration is a final plat occurring at Sweet Homes Addition located at 2300 block of North Mount Olive Street. This is the plat out phase 1 only, consisting of 33 single-family lots on 8.2 acres. This is the site plan. The detention basin is located in the southwest corner right there. You'll also note that the streets have hammerhead endings rather than cul-de-sacs. This is because the intent is to carry these streets further to the east with additional phase of the development. However, they didn't want to plat that all initially with the preliminary plat, so they're just finaling out this section right now. Here's the site. This is looking to the east. You'll see Allen Elementary located in the background for context. I'd like to cover the staff recommended conditions. Firstly, the applicant must submit 2 maintenance bonds. The developer has agreed to furnish both of these bonds. Applicant must also supply electric extension fees and also reimburse the city for new street signs. And finally, the applicant must complete the final punch list items as directed by the city engineer. All these conditions are required prior to the city releasing the final plat for recordation. With that, staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval with the stated conditions, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions of staff.
Mayor?
Go for it, Marla.
Why not? My concern was with the roads coming out that they were going to name them different than what they intersected with. Was that not in one of our things that we're looking at to make sure that the streets, the names were contiguous?
Yes, that's a great question. I brought that up at the Planning Commission, actually. We passed a street naming ordinance right when this came in as a preliminary plat that allowed the street names to change so that we don't have 2 Deerfield Meadows or 2, I don't recall the other name of the street, but the ordinance allows there be a different name at the intersection as long as it's not a through street, which these would not be, so. Yeah.
The key word is through street, right there. Yeah.
To be determined.
Right. Any comments from the audience? Being that, oh, yes, sir. No, you need to come up and state your name and
Larry Taylor, is this
address.
22377 Don Hill
Thank you.
Road?
Thank you.
Is this north or south of Highway 43? South. On the south side. Okay. All right. That's what I was trying to figure out. Thank you.
As you're looking here, you're looking east on this. Standing, you're like hovering above Carl, the Deerfield Meadows area, and looking back to the east. And as far as the through street, you're probably not going to see a through street. It's going to dead end up there at the elementary. So there isn't actually going to be a through street in further development, I don't believe. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Jay Young with Development Consultants. We're the civil engineering firm designing for this. Just further information on the street. The street across in the subdivision is a loop street. It's the same street name where it touches Carl in two different places, and it would have been massively confusing to carry that through to two different streets. They were going to potentially one continue east. So that was another one of the reasons why we considered different naming on this street. Thank you.
Oh, I see. So the one to the south could potentially go all the way through to Sherry Whitlock, couldn't it? Thank you. Thank you. I got that. Right. Any comments, questions from the staff? I mean, from the board? Mindy, you got that look on your face, like I'm not sure what he's talking about.
I'm just trying to figure out what you were just talking about.
Well, the south side, South Road, if you continue east, it does. Sherry Whitlock turns back north, and it could conceivably go straight through and butt up against Sherry Whitlock down past the second group of trees down there.
Okay.
The southbound road of going east. Excuse me, the south side going east.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay.
See you now?
Yeah.
The other one would run right into Allen Elementary.
Is that on our master street plan, Mr. Mayor?
I doubt that. That it allows it to run into a street that's on their master plan, that being Sherry Whitlock. Am I right?
I don't believe so. So I don't know if it's Ben or if the engineer wants to speak. Is it, talking about phase two, and it's not platted yet, but one option would be to loop these two streets similar to what's on the west side, not to extend them further east. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, what I would understand, if I may interject, is this is all private property along in here. This is the school, the back of the middle school. It'd be highly unlikely that any street would just can carry on like that. What would happen, because they own all the land, is, and I have not seen a platting, of course, it's all conjecture, but it probably would have a loop street that come out to North Mount Olive.
The other street
Connect like that, or with the cul-de-sac, or the different things. But it would not. This is all landlocked along in here, so nothing would come in across that. Did that clarify? Yeah. Okay.
Just forget what the mayor said.
Not that.
I see now. That you're fine. You're fine. And as now, after you mentioned that, I thought, wait a minute. There's ball fields and all kinds of stuff through there, so that's the school
and
property.
homes.
So
and homes right there on the south side.
I wanted to make it very clear that we weren't thinking about pushing a street through the middle of the school or the bus barn or anything along those lines. So.
Bob, what did I tell you earlier? I was just going to shut up. I didn't do it, did I? All right. Put a mic in front of me. Okay. I apologize. Yes, Brad.
Can I make a motion?
You may certainly do that. Please do.
Motion to approve Resolution 39-19 authorizing a final plat, development for permit 2300 block North Mount Olive, subject to recommended conditions and approval.
Second.
Have a second?
I second that.
Mindy, okay. Further discussion on the motion to approve?
Mayor, I'll make one comment. That's a wetland area back there, so we won't be crossing it either way.
All right.
I'll make one comment too.
Okay, Mindy?
In your memo, you've used some boxes, kind of explaining some of the questions, and I like that. Thank you. The gray shaded boxes that highlight some of those areas. Like it.
All right, thank you. No further questions or comments? We'll vote on the motion to approve Resolution 39-19. Roll call?
Eppington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Philip, now I know why you were looking at me so strange. Like, what is he talking about? Okay. Still off. Excuse me, I've got to get update. Got on the wrong line. All right. Next, we are talking about Resolution 40-19, preliminary plat, development permit, Ashley Park Addition, 2200 block of North Hyco Street. Ben Rhodes.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor and the board. Before you is another preliminary plat. The site is located on North Hyco Street at a location of the existing Ashley Park Addition Phase 1. The proposal for your consideration is to plat the second phase, which is now presently expired. The second phase and final phase encompasses 80 single-family residential lots. Here you see the proposed site plan. As you will see in the next slide, the plan is nearly identical to a plan accepted by the city board in 2004. The primary change is that 2 of the lots are now deleted on the south side of the detention basin. This was done due to the need to increase the size of that basin. I'd like to point out that the master street plan does call for an extension of Brashears Road to eventually tie into Lawless Road, and that's located here on the north side of the project. The developer is not required to tie into this future street. It is not known when it will be built. However, the right-of-way is reserved for a portion of it at this time. I also want to point out that similar to the Grandview addition that you looked at a few months ago, the developer is providing area for a park right there where I'm circling, which will be located on the, I believe, on the west side of that detention basin. So as I promised, I wanted to show you, just for comparative purposes, the 2004 proposal. You can see it's just about identical. The only difference is that these 2 lots here are now not included. So this is the current proposal, and then that was what was done in 2004. So this is the site. You're looking to the yes, this is looking to the west. And the subdivision in the background here, that's Meadowbrook. Staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval of this, and there were no conditions needed for this one. And we are available for any questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions of staff.
Mr. Mayor.
Ben, excuse me, Mindy.
You may have mentioned this, but will that road ever go all the way through over, I guess it would be just north of Meadowbrook and possibly all the way over to Don Hill? Probably not to Don Hill. It will?
Yes, that's the plan eventually. It's supposed to be a new, I believe it's a collector street or arterial street. I don't have that right in front of me, but it would be another like east-west street, right, to alleviate traffic. As we develop more and more north, there needs to be a need for additional east-west streets. So.
Will there ever be a connector over into Meadowbrook from Hyco?
I don't believe so, because the development is all those homes on the back end of that subdivision would prevent a street coming in there. So it's kind of landlocked. Yep.
That'll be nice having that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Marla?
this is just to benefit me. How many times can they let a preliminary plat expire and bring back to us? And do the codes at the time they bring it back, do we have to make them go back and redraw everything if that's the need?
That's a good question. How our codes work right now is they have 1 year from the approval of the preliminary plat, and that's when the actual resolution's signed and dated, to actually break ground on the project. So they don't get it done in 1 year's time. It expires out. We don't have, that, to my knowledge, any limit on expirations. I mean, as long as they keep applying, for the new application, then they can come back. They just have to be subject to whatever the current codes are, and that's why we have the expiration, because as you all know, the codes always are changing. And so if we allow a project approved from like 20 or 30 years ago to be built today, just because it had never been built, we would be getting something that potentially would not work for the city. So, yeah.
All right. Any further questions to staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion on Resolution 4019.
Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve resolution number 4019, authorizing a preliminary plat development permit for the 2200 block of North Hico Street.
Second. All right. Further discussion on the motion to approve? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve on Resolution 4019. Roll call.
Wiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is Resolution 4119, Significant Development Permit, Likens Leasing, LLC, 3110 North Progress Avenue. Ben?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Board. For your final planning review this evening, you're looking at the reestablishment of another expired project from 2016 for the Likens Pharmacy. The project had started, but work progress stalled. And after two project deadline extensions, the project was considered expired as of June 13th, 2019. This is located at the 300 block of North Progress, just north of the Generations Bank, and on the west side of the auto services area at Walmart. The proposal is the same size as the original approved from 2016, that being 18,480 square feet, and will be used as a medical offices and pharmacy. This is the proposed site plan. You'll note that it is nearly identical to the one approved in 2016, which you'll see in a moment. The primary difference is that the lot coverage is reduced by 5% from 85% down to 80% to meet the new code requirements for more green space. As a result of this, the applicant is requesting a 30% parking reduction because the parking had to be taken out to get the lot coverage down to meet the new code requirements. And you'll see that illustrated here. So this is the current proposal and then the 2016. And you'll see that in the 2016 you have the parking here and here, whereas now that's gone. That was to reduce the lot coverage. Let's see. So here you see the, well, actually, let me go back one more slide here on 19. Regarding the parking situation, it should be pointed out that the parking area shown to the north is not included in the proposal. This is because it's occurring on a different lot, which may be developed in the future. If needed, this parking can be used for this proposal through a shared parking agreement, and both of these lots are owned by the same landowner. So that lot line is right there. So it's a 30% parking reduction, but not including any of the parking here. So this is the landscape plan. Unlike in 2016, the applicant now is required to show the landscaping, and he has done so in this plan. And the new green spaces are now landscaped with trees. Here is the elevation view of what this building will look like when it's completed. This bottom picture here is the north elevation, which will be the main front of the shopping center. And here you see the project overlay onto the existing site. The applicant has provided screening along the property lines for the main project area. You can also see how the drive along North Project Progress will be shared with the bank's drive-through right here and through an existing shared access agreement. And finally, this is the drone view. We're also looking to the west. You can see the site work here had begun, but that's all per the 2016 approval. No work is presently occurring right now. Staff's one condition is that the applicant file an access easement to allow traffic from the northern drive to enter to the site from the north, thus crossing the lot to do so. The applicant agrees to this and will be furnishing this prior to the building permit issuance. With that, staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval, and we stand by for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and/or questions of staff.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Carol.
I just have a comment. I've watched this area for probably at least a year with equipment sitting out on the construction site, and I don't have a problem with this site, and I'm glad to see that they're going to go ahead with the development and the construction. I just hope we don't have any more stops and starts or any more extensions.
Mr. Mayor, how far down is the cemetery from this? Is it, I mean, it's not anywhere in the photo, is it?
That little corner up in the top right.
I think
is
it's
that the very edge?
No,
of
I
it?
think it's
A little further than that.
it's further north.
Okay.
I think it's 2 lot widths, but I'm not 100%
All right.
sure.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to say I concur with Director Smiley's statement. Even as we've been approving a lot of the new subdivisions, and I know there is a need for the housing that is being proposed with several of these new divisions that have been going in. I don't have I appreciate the growth. I don't have a problem with people coming in and wanting to build, whether it be commercial or residential, but once it's started, it's nice to finish those projects because, like she said, that's not what we want, to have a project sitting for 2-3 years undone. Not sure what we can do about it. I'm just going to say that.
Other comments? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve on Resolution 4119.
Mayor,
Yes, Reed.
motion that we approve resolution number 41-19, authorizing a significant development permit for 310 North Progress Avenue, subject to the recommended condition of approval.
Good. Motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion to approve? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve on 41-19. Roll call?
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Resolution 42-19, 2020 budget. Hi, Christina.
Good evening. Mayor, members of the board, Christina Patricis, Finance Director. The city is required to adopt an annual budget, and over the past few workshops, we've covered the highlights of the proposed budget. Each of you have been provided a replacement copy of pages 15 and 16. And the only change on there is, if you remember Philip's comment, where the HVAC should have been a generator, so we added a generator line and moved the 32,000 down to that. And with that, you have a completed copy of the budget that staff is recommending for approval. Staff's available for questions.
Any comments from the audience? Okay, board. I'll turn it over to you for comments and/or questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
I just have two comments. Going into 2020, the challenges for the street department, I just remind folks, they're great, and our staff will be challenged to meet some of those deadlines with weather and the pressure we receive from the community. And second would be you don't see Bob Heifel here a lot anymore. I don't know why. Either he's happy with me or totally disgruntled and won't show up. But knowing Bob, one of his things were getting staff pay up. And so I just appreciate Philip and city staff working on that, not only just to be competitive with this region, but to let the city employees know we value them. We have high expectations of them. I think they meet those, and I'm glad we're doing our best with our budget to make sure that we provide them a good a living working for the city of Siloam Springs. Thank you.
Well, you've had a lot of good workshops on this, and that's always very helpful to streamline the process of once we get to approval time. And appreciative of staff for all their efforts on making sure that any of the questions were responded to and that everybody had good copies and good explanations of each budget for per department, whether it enterprise or just administrative or what it may be. So.
And in addition to the workshops, I appreciate the time that you all spent with me. Over and above that, just kind of giving me some more budget 101. It's very helpful to have that information and to just, you took the time to help explain a little bit more. And sometimes I think the public doesn't realize that we do spend a lot of time behind the scenes getting a lot of questions answered. But I appreciate all the time that you spent on this, the time you spent with us, helping us to understand it, and just what you do to benefit the city financially.
Mr. Mayor?
Carol.
I do also appreciate the way the workshops were laid out. I think you made it very easy for us to go through, and your explanations were good, and I appreciate that. And I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution number 42-19, adopting a budget for the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, for 12 months beginning January 1, 2020.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further comments from the board on the motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Bob.
I would make one observation. Over my years of multiple budget experiences, I have learned that a budget is only as good as the intent of the people that are using it. In reflecting back over my term on the board of 7 years, we have been amazingly accurate and faithful to the budget that we have proposed, and I not only congratulate the budget handlers for doing that, but I congratulate our financial people for coming up with a wise and accurate projection of what we think the budget's going to be. It's a great job.
I think too, Bob, that's one of the good things that we're seeing now is some of the results of what the board did at staff recommendation with regard to how the money is appropriated to each individual department, so they know as they move into budget time where their money's going to come from and who's and how it's going to be distributed. I applaud Philip for bringing that with Christina to the board to make sure that is in place, and it makes it easier for staff, I'm sure, and department heads to be able to know a little bit more and not have to shoot in the dark. But yeah, we haven't always shot in the dark. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, this makes eliminates it, makes it go smoother. And for the public's information, the budget is required. The city is required to have this budget in place by the January 31st. But we have traditionally always tried to make sure that we had our budget discussed, cussed, and approved prior to going into the new year. And I'm proud of us for that, rather than waiting till the last minute. So, if there's no further discussion, we'll vote on the motion to approve the budget for the year of 2020. Resolution 42-19. Roll call, please.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Resolution 43-19. Compensation plan amendments. Adrian.
Thank you. Board of Directors, Mayor Turner, City Administrator, Mr. Patterson. Staff resurveyed the compensation plan and is recommending an amendment to the plan. Minimum wage will be going up in January of 2020, resulting in some of our lower paying jobs wage band needing to be adjusted to accommodate for the increase. As previously discussed in the budget workshops, the firefighter, paramedic, police officer, and dispatch wage bands were also adjusted. In 2016, staff surveyed cities like ours in the corridor cities. A compensation plan was then created and developed in 2017. It is recommended to review the plan every 3 to 5 years or on an individual basis on an individual position, because the city has the intent to have a competitive, fair, and equitable compensation plan for its employees. Staff is available for questions.
Thank you. And Adrian, would you go ahead and state your name and your position?
I apologize.
That's fine. That's
Adrian
fine.
Barr, HR Manager.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's for the record. So,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the audience? Being none, I'll turn it over to the board for comments and or questions of staff. Being none, we will vote on Resolution 43 dash. Do what? Oh, I don't have a motion.
Mayor,
Somebody give me a motion. Brad, how about it?
motion to approve resolution number 4319, adopting amendments to the city compensation plan.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion to approve? Being none, we will vote on the motion to approve on Resolution 43-19. Roll call?
Rissler,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Staff report. Philip?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board. So you have before you the October financial statement. Again, if you have any questions, please contact myself or Christina. We'll be happy to try to answer any of your questions as it relates to that monthly financial statement. In my report, I have 4 or 5 things to report. We had an HVAC unit go out in the Community Development Department. We had some revenue, some monies available in their operating budget. We moved that to capital. So I wanted to let you know that so we could replace that HVAC unit and get that repaired rather quickly. That was $5,200 and $5,206.73 that we moved over to capital. We had an expenditure in Public Works for $43,400 for the lift station improvements to the Mallory Woods lift station. During the storm, we talked about the mutual aid that we got from all of the other cities that we have mutual aid agreements with. Per that mutual aid agreement, we paid the city of Bentonville just under $75,000 for their assistance, $74,798.85 for their crews that came over here and worked tirelessly to get everybody back on with their power. Director Coleman asked about the fuel facility. You have a report in front of you. Just to highlight that report, the savings year to date based on average fuel cost. Through October, the city has saved $64,898 by operating our own fuel facility, and total savings since the fourth quarter of 2013, when that facility came in operations, just over $331,000. So that city's operation of our own fuel facility was a very good investment over this period of time and has saved the city significant dollars. I also wanted to report that at the next board meeting, typically the board meetings last of the year, there's limited business on the agenda. So our plan is to have a joint workshop with the Planning Commission and the new planning commissioners that have been appointed. We will be working on a small agenda for that. And then also in looking at the goals, you had a goal for a report that's ended up at the end of the year on street improvements, road improvements that have been done. So staff will be doing a report on that. We will also be presenting the utility undergrounding plan that the electric department has been working on. We'll bring that plan to you sometime after the first of the year with some proposed ordinance amendments. But I wanted you to see that, get a sort of an overview of that plan before it's presented for adoption. And then also, staff will be talking to you about what we're doing and give you an update on the 2020 census. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Had the opportunity to attend the American Legion Christmas party last night. Director Burns was there, and he actually received a award for a service award for, what, 5 years, Brad, I think, or was it 20 years, something like that?
Let's just stay with 10 right now.
Okay. I couldn't remember I couldn't hear Stuart very well on exactly how many years it was, so I apologize. Thank you, Brad, for that. Christmas parade is coming up next weekend, so everybody be prepared for that and get there and get your seat or get your place along the route and watch those kiddos. Make sure they don't get out there. We're looking forward to make sure they don't get out and get hurt, but we haven't had any of that, so we can't have it this year either. We'll just make a rule that won't happen. And we're looking for a bigger and better one. It seems to grow every year. I know a lot of people say they'd like to come to Siloam for theirs rather than some of the other cities, and we appreciate that. One other business item here that I have for the board is traditionally for the last few years, the last board meeting, the board has appeared in tacky sweaters. Tacky Christmas sweaters. It's totally optional by board members, but I understand that one famous board member has, in another role, has already got his tacky sweater ready per his wife, and he's wanting to make sure everybody knows that and be prepared for that. Get here and you'll know who it will be. But it's a fun time. I mean, it's a fun opportunity to just kind of listen. We're going to have business, but we're going to have that tacky sweater. So there's no contest or anything like that, but I think we do take a group picture. So we need that for documentation, I guess. I'm not sure exactly why we do that, but all right, that's enough. We've had a long meeting, and we still got more stuff to do. So I appreciate that, but we'll go ahead and do administrator reports or director reports before we take our last part of business.
I will not be at the next meeting, so I will wear my tacky sweater on my own, and you can Photoshop me into the picture later. Okay. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. I just want to thank people again for attending the meeting. Mr. Taylor, thank you for coming. Thank you for expressing your concerns about some changes in the property maintenance code. I have heard some other people with similar concerns, so I do want us to really think about those proposals when it comes time to actually vote on any changes. But thank you again for being here. I know the intention is, especially with the utilities being shut off, is for the safety of the citizens, but I understand where you and others are coming from. I think my biggest concern would be a child in a home where there's no running water, but there are perhaps other services that could handle that kind of situation. I didn't take much time last week, so I'll take a little bit more time this week. Every once in a while, especially it seems like lately, I have heard some comments about the direction that the city is going. Many times those are positive comments. Sometimes the comments are ones of concern. And those who have concerns sometimes seem to imply that the city is heading in the wrong direction due to the wrong people influencing the wrong city leaders, leaders who don't care about the city and its citizens. This is what I hear. Based on what I've seen, though, and heard from the other board members, my fellow board members, I can say with confidence that all of us do care about this city and the citizens within it. That's why we provided our personal phone numbers on the website. That's why we invite you to email us, why we read pages and pages of material to prepare for each meeting, why some of us meet with the city administrator and other staff before every meeting just to ask questions and get answers and clarification on the issues that we're discussing, and many more things. Regardless of how we do get information from the public, when a citizen shares a concern with just one of us, it's only being received by 1/7 of the board. Though we can and do pass along citizen concerns during board meetings, when the citizens themselves can be here to present their concerns, like Mr. Taylor did tonight, the board as a whole is able to hear firsthand and see face-to-face those most impacted by the concerns, and that's always a good thing. And it also gives us board members the chance to discuss those concerns. That's why comments about the importance of attending board meetings have been made. Not because we don't consider your concerns valid if presented outside of board meetings. All that to say, I think I speak for all of us when I say we do care, and if I personally have ever given anyone the impression that I don't, I do apologize for that. Though I understand there is and always be room for improvement in the city of Siloam, I also believe we have much to be grateful for here. While it's easy to sometimes focus on the problems, I think it's helpful to also be mindful of the many blessings that we have here in our town. One of those being the Christmas parade, as the mayor already mentioned. So I do encourage you to be there this Saturday. And since I won't be here at the next meeting, I'll mention right now, happy holidays to everybody. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and celebrates the reason for the season.
Thank you, Committee. Brad?
I'll make two comments tonight, and I don't think they'll be controversial, but if they are, I'm okay with that. I am pro-development and connectivity. I just caution, and I understand our retention pond system. I understand all that. My concern is, and I think we're going to have to address it in the near future, is Sager Creek. As we develop hard surfaces, we create a runoff of these natural areas, and it has an impact. And you've seen it recently with a very wet year. And I think it's out there. We're in the top 5 contributaries that are of concern in the state. And I mention that because it is a torch I carry for James Fuller. It was one of his passions. So remember this time of the year, people of the past and those that influenced us. And so I replaced James after his passing, and I have a passion for Sager Creek, and you'll probably start hearing me chirping about it a little bit over the next couple of years. Having said that, I met with a couple of folks recently. It was quite pleasant. It was over a nice pint, and it wasn't tea, so give you an idea what was happening there. And they had concerns about some of the streets in Siloam, and we had a great conversation. And we ended it with one of the folks saying, thank you for your time, and I don't like what I heard, but thanks for spending it. So I encourage them to go to our website, and if you'll just go up in a search engine and hit master plan, you'll get a lot of information out there. One of them was some feedback on East Main. And so there's a great PowerPoint on there that it will explain to those that did not participate or have not cared until recently as we started having some conversation. That PowerPoint shows the public input, some of the sessions that were there were made, and some of the information that was gathered. And I reviewed it because it'd been a while. And as I looked at that, that was a perfect example of public input, which led to where we are today. Our new mural up there, very bright and vibrant, and I think we'll appreciate it more come spring. But if you're feeling a little dreary, that'll wake you up, and I love it. And on our bump outs downtown, we've got some great art. I was able to get my dad out Saturday, shop small. And as you sit there and look at that from different angles, you just start to see what the artist had in mind. So, and these are all things that the board we had approved, and we knew they would come to fruition, and it's happening. And so it's just a very exciting time. So enjoy this weekend and enjoy your holidays. Thank you.
Brad, Marla?
I want to thank the community for the involvement with our One Bag program at the Manna Center. We had over 500 bags donated. We gave out 375 meal bags for Thanksgiving with turkeys, and those that are left over will be issued for Christmas. And we are so blessed to live in a community that cares about each other. And I just want to thank the churches, the businesses, the individuals that dropped off the bags for us to use. And then I got a letter in my insurance. It's about a Medicare scam, and I think anytime we can share information with anyone that could be potentially hurt from it, we need to do that. And there's a genetic testing scam. With the holidays coming, everybody wants to go out and get genetic tested and see how they are, 50% this and 40% this. Well, they're targeting seniors, and it's going to be through, they're finding out your Medicare information. They ask for your date of birth. They'll ask for your policy number, and then it just opens up where you can be, all of your information can be taken. So I just want to caution the seniors about falling for any genetic testing that you haven't called to have done for yourself. And that's all.
Thank you, Marla. That's good advice. This time of year, there are people that like to take advantage of goodwill for the good giving spirit of people and what have you. Lisa?
Okay. I'm taking my time during these director comments to clear up a misunderstanding. Some might call them assumptions made. During the November 5th meeting, we discussed the acceptance of the Walton Foundation matching grant for the Main Street Design Project. I voted no on this agenda item. Some have assumed my no vote was because I am totally against the Main Street project. It is true. There are some aspects of the project I do not like and disagree with, but I'm not totally against cleaning up Main Street. During this meeting, I was told I was getting off focus, and at the next meeting, it was said that I voted no because of others' opinions of the project and not based on my own facts. I will not apologize for voting no on this project. On Thursday, October 24th, I had an unplanned meeting at City Hall. During this meeting, I was told that the wastewater project might be going over budget by millions of dollars, so we might not be able to do the Main Street project anyway. I am not an engineer, but I felt with this fact that it would be a waste of money to move forward with the design, not knowing when the project will be able to be completed. Infrastructure can change, and a lot of variables can change the situation. I've never gambled with my own money, and I don't ever plan on gambling with the citizens' money. So as you can see, I based my decision solely off of risk I believe we were taken by moving forward. I will continue to repeat, for me, infrastructure and safety come before beautification projects, especially without clear evidence or facts that the project would generate more revenue. I was not elected to vote yes on projects to have my name on the side of the building like the library or any other project. I was voted to represent the citizens. I have been criticized repeatedly on my method of representation, but I will not be wavered from serving as I see fit. I know the staff has worked hard on this project, as well as many other projects. I know it has been difficult for them to have 7 directors and 1 city manager to always give guidance and suggestions. My no vote does not in any way mean that the staff has not done an excellent job. I appreciate the time and the dedication they spend on everything they do. I also want to clarify that Craft & Toll is an amazing company, and I have no doubt their design will be of excellent quality. I've seen the internal workings of the company and know firsthand the dedication they put into every project they do. Again, my no vote does not mean Craft & Toll wasn't the right choice for this project. To sum it up, I didn't feel at this time that the project was financially feasible. There's nothing more to my vote than that explanation. No assumptions were necessary. On a lighter note, I hope everyone is able to go to the annual Christmas parade. As usual, it's a great family event that the whole family can enjoy.
Reed?
I know we've heard much about the parade and what's going to be happening at the Chautauqua Amphitheater beforehand, and we've got a lot of things going on this weekend. Looking forward to it. We also have a museum that's going to have an open house from 4 to 6 that same day. So there's going to be many opportunities to enjoy a beautiful Saturday into the evening as we prepare to celebrate the Christmas season. One thing that I want to say concerning what I do here, being on the board of directors, is the observations that I have opportunity to make. And one thing that I really appreciate about our city, the employees, the community itself, is the balance that we're able to show, not just amongst ourselves, but other communities see that as well, as we have a place to work, we have a place to rest, and we have a place to play. And if you like doing one of those more than the other, we've got you covered. I strongly believe that we are a vibrant community. We are growing. And as a board of directors, we have an awesome opportunity and a wonderful obligation to make sure that this growth is watched over and in some ways controlled, but not with a thumb, but to be able to offer good direction. And that we can see our citizens and the people of this community have that peace and enjoyment that they're hoping for. And I'm glad to be a part of that. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Reed. Carol?
A little hard to follow that. Very well said. I appreciate it. I think we all are here trying to do the best that we can for a community that we love. We're not trying to tear it down. We're not trying to do anything bad. We're here for the good of the community and our citizens. I'm looking forward to the Christmas parade. I'm looking forward to the Christmas holidays. Santa's going to be at the library on Saturday, December the 12th. And also at the community building, you can have your picture taken with Santa and your pet. You know I'm for pets, so I'll be there with my dog. And also the mural is spectacular. Everybody needs to go take a look at it. You'll have that opportunity when we have the parade, because we'll have the lighting ceremony at the amphitheater. The sculptures that are on the bump outs are also good. Thank you very much. I love this community.
Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As usual, by the time it gets to me, everybody said everything, and I agree with them. So I'm not going to keep quiet, though. I will have something to say. I want to talk about what Mr. Taylor mentioned. The amendments to the nuisance or property maintenance code, as it's better known, were brought up to the board so that we know some of the situations that are going on in town. It took me 3 years to get our current property maintenance code approved and in a matter of law. So I would not expect this to take place anytime real soon. I had 3 other people talk about this same item. I don't think we're in the business of confiscating anybody's home. There are ways of encouraging people to improve their properties, which the current property maintenance code has certainly done. And having had experience with the code enforcement people, they're not out there to take anybody's property. That would absolutely be a thing of last resort. So I would encourage you to stick with us and follow that process as we go through it. And I think you'll be pleased with the outcome. I personally thought the property maintenance code could have been a little bit more toothy, if you will, than what it was. But we have proven that it's working. It hadn't caused anybody real major problems, and I think maybe you might be giving us a little bit too much credit that we'll move fast, and we don't move quite that fast. So we'll take this under consideration, and I, for one, would not be in favor of taking anybody's property for fear of one of them might be mine. So I told the board about my limb that's in a tree that was covered in that little recommendation, and that's still in that tree. So I need to watch out for that. But we'll take care of it. Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn into executive session for purposes of a personnel matter.
All right, I want to make sure on this that I read that I give you verbiage on this to make sure that it's done so that we don't have.
Say it and I'll say yes.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to consider employment of an employee.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Get a vote. Roll call.
Whoops. Coleman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Bristler.
Yes.
Motion is approved. This body has voted to retire into executive session to consider the employment of Administrator Patterson. We will reconvene in public session to present and vote on any action arrived at in private. We are in recess. All right, I'll call this city board meeting back into order and out of recess. We have adjourned from the executive session that was called earlier, and while no vote could be taken in there, general consensus, we came to a general consensus, and I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Bob.
the result of our no activity in the executive session, I would like to make a motion that we continue the administrator's employment for another year with a 3% salary increase.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion other than let's get out of here? Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right.
I want to say job well done.
Job well done. Yes, job well done. Thank you. And that being said, we have the motion in a second. All those in favor of now we got to ask for the adjournment, don't I?
You have to have
We
a
have
vote.
to vote on
Wait.
this. Okay, we have a motion and a second
Roll
that we continue the employment of Administrator Patterson with the City of Siloam Springs for another year. And
3%
with
increase.
that, there is a 3% increase in salary.
Yes, sir.
Does that cover it?
Roll
Yeah.
call.
Do what?
Roll call.
Well, yeah, I'll get into that now. So we got that, and we got a motion in a second. You got that, Renee? Who did it? Roll call.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
I believe the motion passed.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further business,
I didn't
move
ask
we
for it.
adjourn.
I didn't ask for a motion.
I know
there.
it's going to take you a half hour to get that far.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Woo pig.
Thank you all.
I have some.